welcome again with a tea with your counsellor, and in this case we have a tea with your retiring counsellor. We've got Mare-Lise Fourie here, en ons is vandag hier by Hap Koffiehuis, en moet dit net reg sê, want ek het dit net verkeerd gesê, huis vir Afrikaanse poësie, nie plesier nie. Alhoewel plesier en poësie baie naby aan mekaar is hierdie een vir Afrikaanse poësie. So, ons gaan bietjie praat met Mare-Lise, want sy het 'n redelike interessante storie en in my opinie ook 'n pioniersstorie vir 'n vrou in besigheid, en ook ons het we spoke last week about having a seat at the table, and I think Mare-Lise was one of the first people having a seat at the table, and quite a remarkable seat at the table as well. So Mare-Lise, baie welkom.
Baie dankie. Baie dankie.
Dankie vir jou tyd. And thank you for being willing to come and share your story with us.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to open the floor to you to start with where you want to start and how your story started.
My story is a long story. I've had many chapters, and I think those chapters, in my view, had a path and it had a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those chapters sort of fitted into one another ultimately, and it's not because of any good planning or anything else except opportunities. All right.
And the taking of those opportunities.
Well, we'll get to that one. I'm born Praetorian, so I was born in Pretoria. I've lived my whole life in Pretoria.
Mm-hmm.
I went to primary school and high school, Afrikaanse Hoër Meisies School in Pretoria. After that, I went to university, but I went on a bursary, which I got from the City Council of Pretoria in those days. So I had to do my work back into the council. That was in 1970 when I started working at the municipality. Daai jare was daar nie so 'n ding soos gelykheid nie. Ons vrouens is aangestel as 'n vroulike assistent. Ongeag of jy 'n graad gehad het of matriek of wat ook al, maak nie saak nie. Die mans is voorkeur gegee as administratiewe beamptes, want hulle het 'n familie om te onderhou. So, dis waar dit begin het. En deur die jare, ek vir een of ander rede het ek gebly, nadat ek my tyd afgewerk het vir die beurs. Maar dit was goed. Ek is deur al die range van die munisipaliteit in die bestuur. Tot ek in 1996 aangestel is as die tesourier van die munisipaliteit van Pretoria. Ek was tesourier en dit was baie interessant. Ek was baie huiwerig om aansoek te doen vir die pos. Maar want ek het gedink ek het genoeg ondervinding en genoeg kennis om dit te kan doen. En ek het op daai stadium vir my man gesê, ek dink 5 jaar, kom ons try dit vir 5 jaar en kyk hoe werk dit. En soos dit toe wou hê, dit net vir 5 jaar gewerk, want toe in 2000 kom die nuwe munisipale verkiesing. We have a totally new government, although it was a coalition from 1994, incorporating all other parties and associations. And I was retrenched. For whatever reason, I don't care. It is what it is. After that, I did a whole lot of consulting work in local government. I wrote a book together with a colleague in Johannesburg on municipal finance and accounting, which is currently in its 3rd print. So it's being used by UNISA, by TUT, by many universities as a training handbook. I lectured at TUT, at Tuks, at University of Joburg. Although in my earlier days, this story I must tell you. Okay. This is the best story ever. When I wanted to go and study, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It was one of those things that I thought I had to go to university, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went for those tests, whether they call them psychometric tests nowadays or whatever they call it. Anyway, ek gaan toe, doen die hele toets, toe ek klaar is, toe nou moet ek terugvoer kry oor waar lê my vaardighede. En die ou sê vir my, mevrou, nee, daai tyd was ek nou nie mevrou nie. Jy kan eintlik enigiets doen, maar toe sê ek, stop net bietjie daar. Stop net daar. As jy vir my sê ek gaan 'n sosiale werkster, 'n onderwyseres of 'n verpleegster word, vergeet dit. Dan kan ons nou kan ons hierdie conversation ophou, want ek gaan nie een van hulle word nie. Toe sê hy, wel, dan moet jy maar besluit wat jy wil doen. Want daai tyd is dit al wat vrouens gedoen het. Hulle het onderwyseresse geword, verpleegsters en sosiale werksters. Okay. Toe besluit ek wil ingenieurswese gaan studeer. Die professor by ingenieurswese het van sy stoel afgeval en gesê geen vrou het nog ooit ingenieurswese gestudeer nie. Sorry, maar jy kan nie. Dieselfde was by argitektuur daai tyd. Toe besluit ek, okay, wat is die kortste kursus op universiteit wat nie 'n taal het nie? Want ek is nie baie lief vir tale nie. Okay. Al die ander kursusse het tale gehad. En dis toe kom.
Okay.
Alright, en en ek meen dit was nou net mooi presies in my vaardighede ingeval. Want in elk geval, dit was die begin van die storie. So, toe tussen 2000 en 2009 het ek nou al hierdie ander goed gedoen van. I then was approached by a pension fund and I accepted the job as the principal officer of the pension fund. Which I did until 2016 when I was selected to be mayoral committee member, because then you can't have two jobs. Okay, so it's been a journey. I've had a number of chapters that was most fulfilling, and the career in local government or associated in local government is 51 years this year.
Oh my.
Yes, 51 years.
Now, you've skipped over a couple of obstacles that was over your way. And I recall one specifically that you never were appointed full-time as a treasurer.
If you in those days, when you were single and you were female, you could be a member of a pension fund. But the moment you got married, you could no longer be a member of the pension fund. You could only be a contributor, which meant you don't build up a pension for the day that you retire. You simply put into, call it an investment, what you like, without having any control over the growth of that money that you put in. And that meant you had to remain temporary, tydelik. All right. So deur al die jare was ek tydelik. En toe ek nou moes aangestel word as die tesourier, toe raak dit nou 'n embarrassment, né? Want nou is ek skielik 'n tydelike tesourier. Toe heraktiveer hulle die voorsieningsfonds, wat nou die Provident Fund, which is the most preferred fund at the moment, is being a Provident Fund, not a pension fund anymore. Toe bring hulle hom weer terug in die lewe in en ek kon toe 'n lid van die Provident Fund word, wat toe beteken ek kon toe nou permanente pos hê.
So in order for you to have a high level position at the municipality, they had to make physical changes to how the municipality works.
Yes, absolutely.
As a woman, for you to have that position.
I was the only female in top management.
And this was as recent as 1995. I mean, this
That
isn't yonks ago.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not yonks ago. It's 90. Well, I was appointed 1996.
My.
So no, it's and that is my attitude has always been that you must be recognized for who you are and what contribution you can make.
Yes.
So it is a long story.
Yes.
51 jaar lank.
Now, somebody whispered in my ear about a meeting that you went to in a full-on suit and tie.
Yes,
now, I always fell on my back because I know you as a lady in soft colours and I mean you wear flower prints and skirts. So when they said a proper suit and tie meeting, I thought this is a story I need to hear.
It was a call it a knee-jerk reaction in a certain sense. You must have heard the story about the destruction of the headquarters of the municipality in 1997, which was an extremely traumatic event. It is one of the most traumatic events I have ever gone through. I can't begin to explain the impact that it has to know that whatever you had in that whole building was gone. Not a piece of paper was left. Nothing. Not a piece of furniture. Nothing. Whatever personal you had in there was gone. All right. And you had to start all over again, putting everything back in place. From a financial perspective, because I was city treasurer at that point, we were covered in the sense that we had a very comprehensive insurance policy, which covered everything. Tracting of documents. Die hele hoofraam van die munisipaliteit was in daai gedeelte van die gebou. Hy was weg. Alright. Ons kon binne 10 dae kon ons weer rekeninge uitstuur as gevolg van ons backup systems en al sulke goeders. Die span waarmee ek gewerk het was absoluut fenomenaal. Hulle het van huise af gewerk. Nie een het 'n kantoor gehad nie. Ons het nie 'n tas gehad nie. Dit was nie in die dae van sakrekenaars met inligting op sakrekenaars nie. Hulle het alles op verskillende plekke gedoen om seker te maak dat ons so vinnig as moontlik die munisipaliteit aan die gang kry. En dat ons kan aangaan met wat ons veronderstel was om te doen. So dit was verskriklik traumaties. Toe skuif die raadsvergadering oor na Sammy Marks gebou.
Ja.
Jy sal onthou daai raadsaal in Sammy Marks gebou. En die brand in Pretoria was in Maart 1997. Okay. En dit was in die tyd toe ons nou besig is met die opstel van die begroting en al daai goeders. Nou die MFMA was nog nie op die wetboeke nie. So dit was ander prosesse wat jy gevolg het, maar jy moes nog steeds jou begroting goedgekeur gekry het voor die begin van die jaar. En die begrotingsvergadering het ek besluit. Toe trek ek vir my 'n langbroek en 'n baadjie en 'n das aan. Net om, ek weet nie, ek kan nie vir jou vandag sê hoekom ek dit gedoen het nie. Dit was maar net 'n statement om te sê, ons is hier en ons kan die job doen.
Wel. Partykeer moet jy so maak, partykeer moet jy so simbolies maak.
Absoluut. So dit is
ook al 'n victory cry geweest, né?
Ja, ek bedoel, ek is nog nooit skaam om te sê wie ek is of wat ek is nie. Ek was nog nooit huiwerig om te wys wie ek is nie. Ek is wat ek is. En jy vat my of jy los my.
That's quite an interesting thing, because if we look at quite a lot of pioneering women in throughout history. I mean, we've got Ruth Hindenburg from America, who recently passed away. She was a woman that fought for women's rights and for women's equality, yet she was not a hardcore feminist that said that she doesn't want a husband and she doesn't want a family, and that's quite a lot how you are as well. And you embrace your femininity at the same time. I mean, you've got 2 kids, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, and a stepdaughter, so 3.
Okay. Yeah. And you've got a loving husband, and after your day you go home to a loving family, and you fight the fight out there, but you stay true to your feminine self and your feminine heart.
Well, that's why I said I am who I am. I'm not going to change because of external influences or external pressure. I'm sorry, I'm not. So I have very firm beliefs in what is right and what is wrong, and I stand by them. And many people find it difficult because they are. I'm not opinionated, but I have a very strong view on things, and I'm entitled to that view. Of course. And so I've never made excuses for what I've achieved or who I am, and I never will.
So, which brings me to a question that I want to ask. On my way here to Capital Park, I drove past the Durko building, and I told you just before we started about the first time I entered the Durko building, somebody felt the need to tell me that the architect was female, and how I was quite taken aback about why they felt the need to tell me that. And so I want to get your opinion on whether in this day and age, where women can do anything that we want to do, can have any opinion or hold any job, why people still feel the need to point these things out to us?
Look, I have always maintained that I'm not a number, nor do I represent a quota, and nor should anybody.
Yes.
Irrespective of their gender, or their race, or their age, or anything. You are who you are, and you can make a certain contribution. If you are willing to make that contribution, and you put yourself in a position to be identified to be able to do that, you must be judged according to what you can bring to the table. Don't tell me ever that we need more female candidates for political representatives, or we need more females to sit on a committee. I'm sorry, That's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. If women are not interested in that particular position, they're not going to apply, and so they're not going to be considered. If they are interested and they have the skills and the capacity, they need to be treated like everybody else, and they must be on equal par to everybody that's in the same position. And you should be chosen for what contribution you can make. The sad thing about this is you often, and I think that's why we still today, after so many years, talking about empowering women, is because women themselves have not really stood up and said, I'm here because I can. They seem to think, if you give me a position, I must take it because you've offered to me. Whether I can do it or not is irrespective. So the failures that then happens reflects negatively on a woman. Just as an interesting analogy, if I were to be offered a finance position or a chief financial officer in a big company like Anglo American, I would say no, thank you very much. I'm not capable of doing that job. So it doesn't matter if you give it to me. If I don't feel I'm capable to do the job, you don't take it, because you're setting yourself up for failure. That's all you're doing. So I don't think women should set themselves up for failure. I think they should take what is theirs according to their skills, and they must bring it to the betterment of whatever position they hold, whether it's in politics, whether it's in administration, wherever it is, whether it's in society, it doesn't matter. You have a role to play, and you must take that opportunity, and we must prove them that we are capable of doing what we need to do.
Yeah, and it's ours to take the opportunity.
Absolutely. It always brings me to my two principles. My two fundamental principles is respect and discipline, and those two go together. If you respect yourself, if you respect people around you, nature, our creator, whatever is around you, and you have the discipline to ensure that you do the right thing, whether it's being respect for the law and being within the law, or whether it's disciplined in terms of recognizing other people's positions and the role that they play, then so be it. But that's what we all need to do, and you need to teach it to your children from this size on.
Yes.
Because I think that's the problem with society today. I'm sorry. Children are not taught discipline and respect from a very early age. And that's why we have what we're seeing today. And it's unfortunate, because, and as I said, respect starts with yourself.
Yes.
Starts with yourself.
So what does the future hold? I can't see you sitting still. What does the future hold?
No, I'm going to do the 4th revision of the textbook.
Okay.
I can't do it now, obviously. But the company that funded the original drafting and the revisions, they get all the royalties from Van Skyks for the book sales. Nothing comes to the authors. We did it on that basis. But I obviously get paid for the time that I spent in. So once I'm done, I will be doing the revision of the textbook. There's a couple of things on the horizon. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
But at least I will have the opportunity to go on leave when I want to go on leave, without having to ask permission to go, because it's all these years it's practically been that. Because we've got a lovely little place in Sedgefield, in the Western Cape, that we invested in over many years. It's a great family visit. We can house about 14 people. Nice. And it's great. It really is lovely when everybody's there, and it's a buzz of activities. Yeah.
So I think as a party we're sad to lose you, but I'm interested to see the contributions that you're going to make further into South Africa. And thank you very much for sharing your story here at Hub, Huis vir Afrikaanse Poesie.
Thank you, Jackie. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.